Part 2, Customer-Centricity. Chapter 4, What is Customer-Centricity? Before we can strategize and plan how we move customers from the periphery to our central focus, let's align on what customer-centricity is and why we should invest time and effort in a transformation. Definitions of customer-centricity. Customer-centricity puts the customer experience at the center of strategies, goals, initiatives, projects, and more. Gartner, a large international consulting firm, says, quote, "Customer-centricity is the ability of people in an organization to understand customers' situations, perceptions, and expectations. Customer-centricity demands that the customer is the focal point of all decisions related to delivering products, services, and experiences to create customer satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy." End quote. Gartner's May 2022 article, How to Know Whether You're Really Customer-Centric, offers 3 indicators of customer-centricity. Web link cxcc.to/A107. Quote, 1. You engage and listen to customers about the good, the bad, and the other. You acknowledge those whose needs best match your company's current products or services. Too often, we only hear customers when they validate our worldview, plans, or internal bias. Talking to customers is not the same as listening to customers. 2. You admit that your products and services will not solve every customer problem. There is always one more thing to do, and you will do it for the customer. 3. You change your internal structure, adjust compensation, or reallocate resources in the face of customer needs. End quote. It's easy to become complacent by finding some way your company fits these 3 indicators. Remember that time we ran that survey? We engaged customers. We listened to people whose needs match our products. Check this one off. Close this book. We are customer-centric. It's also easy to recognize that you're not matching these indicators but then have no idea what to do. How can we tell if we are talking or listening to customers, or neither? What if we're listening but taking the wrong actions? What does it look like to change internal structure due to customer needs? Augie Ray, Vice President of Customer Experience at Gartner, included this in his article, Being Customer-Centric Probably Doesn't Mean What You Think It Means. Web link cxcc.to/A117. Quote, Are you and your organization customer-centric? Do you prioritize lasting customer satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy equal with short-term sales and profit? Approve projects that deliver long-term improvements to customer relationships as quickly and frequently as you do with short-term ROI? Evaluate and measure investments against how it improves your customers' lives or business as much as your margin, costs, or marketing ROI? Reward, praise, and promote employees who improve customer outcomes as often as those who deliver company-centric results. Analyze your customer data to find the verifiable connection between your existing customers' satisfaction or perception and their lifetime value to your organization. Measure loyalty as much through leading attitudinal measures of customer intent as through lagging indicators of customer purchase behavior. Seek to constantly improve your customers' voice of the customer feedback and not merely beat your competitors' scores. Listen for and resolve the barriers your employees face that prevent them from offering customer-centric products, services, and experiences. End quote. Large and small consulting firms are promoting the ROI of CX. They have webinars, slide decks, and reports on how leaders need to create change and drive strategies and initiatives that better match customers' needs and goals. Forrester, another large international consulting firm, is also pushing customer experience. Their site says, quote, As a customer experience, CX leader, You rally your organization around customer needs. You dismantle old ways of working and build new ones through the introduction of CX-focused disciplines that drive up efficiencies, competencies, and ultimately deliver business results. End quote. Customer centricity isn't anti-revenue, anti-business, or against lifts in metrics. It's about finding ways to boost what the business wants to improve while putting real customers' needs and opportunities first. It's about creating positive business outcomes because we created positive customer outcomes. Customer centricity is the strategy and actions that flow from our promise to create PSE that inspire customer satisfaction and loyalty. CX is the table. Hashtag CX is the table. And every department sits at the table. Everybody at this table needs customers to survive. Everybody at this table hopes for more and more humans who will pay us, buy from us, license our system, consume our content, interact, and engage. Everybody at this table needs people who will sign up for our platform, read our notifications, and try our suggestions. Everybody at this table might need partners and resellers. Customer centricity means that every domain's perspectives are important, empowered, and have autonomy. When we have pressure from managers and stakeholders, it's easy to forget that we work for potential and current customers. They are impacted by our decisions, the good, the bad, the hasty, and the uninformed. When customers leave or a down economy blocks new customers, we lay off staff and terminate jobs. Everyone at our company, including executives and the board, answers to customers. 11 Pillars of Customer Centricity. I've created 11 pillars of customer centricity as a framework of behaviors and values. These pillars guide the decisions and actions of everyone from top executives and leadership to teams and individuals. 1. Evidence-based decision-making. Business strategies, goals, and initiatives are based on what we've learned about current and potential customers. Research first and often. Guesses and assumptions are signs that we need more research and knowledge. Decisions should be led by unbiased and current evidence. 2. Quality and value are defined by customers. We shouldn't be hoping for value or guessing what might be valuable. We should reject methods and approaches that require us to strip value down to the least we can get away with. 3. Customer-focused, not competitor-focused. Competitors are often getting it wrong. They're already working on their next thing. Why would we steal their current thing? That's not disruptive or innovative and could be a mismatch for our target audiences. 4. Task-oriented, not feature-oriented. Task-oriented design will be explained later in great detail. 5. We are continuously checking for PSE market fit. There is no product greatness if PSE are not a great match for customers' tasks and unmet needs. If every feature or aspect of PSE doesn't match these, or if a feature or PSE work against customers' needs, we should stop and question why we would knowingly build something with poor PSE market fit. If we're surprised later by poor PSE market fit, we will need to take a closer look at our ways of working and our approach to risk identification and mitigation. 6. Teams are given the time and budget to do their best work. 7. Ethics, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We can't be customer-centric if we are not invested in all of our customers. Everything we produce must be accessible to everybody. We aren't customer-centric when we trick customers into actions they didn't mean to take or work from stereotypes or assumptions about user groups. 8. Real accountability, including actions and follow-through. More about this later in the book. 9. Critical thinking and speaking up are rewarded. People feel and are empowered to do their best work, challenge the status quo, make evidence-based decisions in their domains, and raise red flags. 10. Customer experiences and business metrics are both improving together. 11. Quality over speed. Save time by doing smart and efficient work. Stop burning time and money on cycles of guessing and fixing it later. End of list. Customer-Centricity in ISO standards. ISO is the International Organization for Standardization. They create and publish standards in areas including food safety, health, environmental management, IT security, and quality. Customer focus is quality management principle number 1 of ISO 9000 and 9001. To quote the PDF on quality management principles, web link cxcc.to/A105, quote, "The primary focus of quality management is to meet customer requirements and to strive to exceed customer expectations. Sustained success is achieved when an organization attracts and retains the confidence of customers and other interested parties. Every aspect of customer interaction provides an opportunity to create more value for the customer. Understanding current and future needs of customers and other interested parties contributes to sustained success of the organization." End quote. The document lists the key benefits of customer focus as increased customer value and satisfaction, improved customer loyalty, enhanced repeat business, enhanced reputation of the organization, expanded customer base, and increased revenue and market share. As additional benefits and ROI, I would add lower costs and more success in attracting and retaining customers, improved morale and higher employee retention rates, increasing your company's value or attracting more investment, and time and money saved due to lower utilization of customer support channels, better and earlier risk identification and mitigation, and creating a better PSE market fit earlier than we generally do now. ISO quality standards list the key actions you can take as follows. Recognize direct and indirect customers as those who receive value from the organization. Understand customers' current and future needs and expectations. Link the organization's objectives to customer needs and expectations. Communicate customer needs and expectations throughout the organization. Plan, design, develop, produce, deliver, and support goods and services to meet customer needs and expectations. Measure and monitor customer satisfaction and take appropriate actions. Actively manage relationships with customers to achieve sustained success. These seem obvious, but there's a good chance that our company is doing few of these well or at all. Bonus question for ISO 9000 or 9001 certified companies. Are you adhering to or living by these standards and suggested actions? ISO Standard 9241-210 is about human-centered design, which is defined as, quote, "an approach to interactive systems development that aims to make systems usable and useful by focusing on the users, their needs and requirements, and by applying human factors and ergonomics and usability knowledge and techniques. This approach enhances effectiveness and efficiency, improves human well-being, user satisfaction, accessibility, and sustainability, and counteracts possible adverse effects of use on human health, safety, and performance." End quote. Usability is defined as the extent to which specified users can use PSE in a specified context of use to achieve specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. Context is key. Where is the user? Are they doing something else while trying to use our PSE? What type of environment are they in? Who else is there? Are those people a distraction? Collaborators? Does our customer have disabilities, diagnoses, or conditions? Contexts of use are one of many important elements we learn about during generative research, which will be explained in the Customer Intelligence chapter. ISO 9241-210 includes principles outlining what should be done to be human-centered. PSE design is based on an explicit understanding of users, user groups, and their tasks, environments, and their resources. Relevant users and user groups are involved throughout design and development. Design is driven and refined by evaluation and uses relevant users as part of the evaluation method. PSE design addresses the whole user experience. The team involved in HCD includes multidisciplinary skills and perspectives. Human-centered design and user-centered design. Human-centered design, HCD, and user-centered design, UCD, are terms I use interchangeably, though I tend to say UCD more often since I hope it focuses on our users and customers rather than leaving teammates wondering who I mean by humans. I will not try to rename it Customer-Centric Design, CCD. HCD has ISO definitions and standards, so it doesn't need a rebrand from me or anybody else. HCD's ISO definitions and standards work for UCD. HCD and UCD have customer-centricity in their names. This is design with a capital D, an entire process, not just the tasks that some people associate with the word design, such as sketches, wireframes, and visual branding. UCD has multiple phases of work, including research, content strategy and content design, information architecture, interaction design, testing, visual design, and continuous monitoring after PSE release. Each phase has multiple specialized tasks that can be done. CX and UX professionals must approach this process strategically, deciding which tasks are needed, how long they will take, in what order they will be done, and what resources are required. UCD is fluid and often cyclical. For example, testing CX designs often leads to iteration, another round of information architecture and interaction design work. We should test again before we can call this completed. In this way, each iteration helps CX professionals spiral their way to the best design solution. You also hear learn, build, and test. This is baked into UCD, which starts with research and learning. Models that start with build are missing a lot of early learning we should do if we care about building the right things for our target audiences. It's also why when CX or UX professionals are asked to just guess during the build phase and make some screens, often without important qualitative data from research or testing, it's another high-risk adventure likely to lead our project down the wrong path. It's the lean sin of underutilized talent when we only budget enough time for CX to guess at screens when there's so much risk-mitigating science and technique in UCD. You might also hear discover, define, design, validate, and iterate. You might see double diamonds, triple diamonds, and new variations claiming to replace them. Every customer-centric and design model or process can be superimposed onto the phases and tasks of UCD. Some derivatives, like the original double diamond, are still close to UCD. Some derivatives, like design thinking, are quite far from UCD. Design thinking will be discussed in a later chapter. Ultimately, you can't go wrong with the original UCD since it's flexible and strategic, adapting to each project based on our staff, budget, timing, and desired customer and business outcomes. If a product manager, engineer, or executive has an idea, it should still be run through the user-centered design process. Everybody is sure they have the perfect solution for our customers, but we don't know which idea is the best match until it's tested with real or archetypal users. This is not done with surveys, A/B testing, or releasing the fastest, minimally viable sliver you can get out there. We design our solution based on sound research data and use testing to confirm that we solved the original problem in a way that matches how our target audiences think and behave. We can also avoid arguments or decisions based on the loudest opinion when we shift towards standardized processes that shepherd value and check ideas for quality. Figure 7. A visualization of UCD based on what phase we're in. As an example, an orange star says, "You are here," near problem definition and CX strategy. A black star says, "Not yet," near concepts, features, and stories. Explained below. The above simple visualization is a reminder of the best order for our UCD process. When we need to know more about customers' behaviors, tasks, needs, and perspectives, it's time for generative research. Afterward, we move into a phase focused on strategy, planning, and roadmaps. This is where we utilize what we learned from our research to define one or more problems, develop our overarching CX strategy, and prioritize the unmet needs and opportunities we discovered. The upcoming Common Research Mistakes chapter will examine where companies tend to go wrong in conducting research, skimping on it, and how it's utilized. Next in UCD, we move into a phase focused on concepts, hypotheses, solutions, and experiments. CX's key tasks include content strategy, writing, information architecture, interaction design, and service design. CX works on concepts and prototypes, running these through rounds of testing and iterating and improving based on test results. Once we're sure we have a 5-star solution, it can move to engineering or the next appropriate step if you are a service-based business. Once the PSE have been released, we need to continue our qualitative and quantitative research to monitor metrics, satisfaction, and new pain points or opportunities. Many teammates would like to start with solutions and ideas, but the above visualization reminds us that designing potential solutions is later in the process. Our solutions are guesses if we have not completed generative research, problem definition, CX strategy, and prioritization of problems and opportunities. We cannot hope to solve a non-understood problem experienced by people we haven't learned much or anything about. We also must have a clear CX strategy for our project or PSE. Very often, when people in a variety of different work roles tell me stories about wild and disaster projects, I ask what the plan or strategy was. 100% of answers have been, "We didn't have one." It's easy to run in all directions when we're unsure where the finish line is or our plan to get there. Later in the book, we will cover CX strategy. Value-led. Will we be a product-led, engineering-led, or sales-led organization? Will we be values-led, as in led by our company values? We will be value-led. How much value can we frequently create for potential and current customers? Wouldn't that be a product-led organization? Being product-led is supposed to be about attracting and retaining customers through high-value PSE. Some product-led companies decide on features based on guesses, assumptions, or things they want to push people to do. That might be product-led, but it wouldn't qualify as value-led. How to execute on being value-led is throughout the book. A highly qualified and experienced UX researcher from my community was recently laid off after his company announced internally that they would be product-led. Some companies define product-led as allowing anybody to do research, no matter their skill level or experience, and no matter the quality of the research or its outcomes. We'll cover this in detail in the Common Research Mistakes chapter. But being product-led should inspire us to grow research teams, not lay off our best researchers. We might say we are a sales-led organization, but ultimately we are selling PSE, which must be an excellent PSE market fit. Sales will struggle with turning trial customers into paid, turning leads into conversions, and retaining and growing existing customers where our PSE are low value and fail to meet target audiences standards. Some clients have told me that no matter what they do, their organizations don't understand customer or user experiences, and it's hard for them to shepherd change when they use terms like CX or UX. CX is the best term here, but if it's causing misunderstanding and blockers, consider calling your customer-centric transformation your total quality process, product-market fit initiatives, or value-led transformation. All roads lead back to CX, value, and how we turn a deep understanding of customers' unmet needs into 5-star PSE. End-to-end customer journeys. To explain the end-to-end customer journey, let's imagine a chain of hotels. The customer's journey starts with a trigger, a reason to need a hotel or book a stay. Triggers include a why and sometimes the what as well. Potential customers might need to attend a conference or wedding, or perhaps this is a vacation or business trip. The trigger sends the potential customer into what I call orbit. Potential customers are circling possible vendors or solutions and narrowing down to the ones that might be selected. After the orbit, they will choose nothing, your competitor, or you. The orbiting stage is your opportunity to attract their business. It is critical to uncover potential customers' decision-making processes. Though these process steps appear beyond our control or realm, they are often where we find interesting revelations about customers and how we can improve their journeys. For example, if we find that there are collaborators or approvers involved, it might be wise for us to consider features related to facilitating that collaboration or approval. Let's imagine that today, the orbiting potential customer is in our ecosystem. They might be on our website or using our app. They might need to contact customer support for help. They might need to reference a wedding invitation, conference website, or work travel policies. They might need to ask their partner to check out possible hotels. They might require a manager's official approval before booking a room. Any of these might pause or end their time in our ecosystem and send them to the next action, even if that action is waiting. When we don't understand the whole end-to-end journey, we sometimes imagine that the potential customer is a tire kicker if they don't book a room. We say they bounced or abandoned. We act like something must have gone wrong because the customer was ready to book a room but didn't. This assumes that the task was to book a room. Perhaps today's mission was to find good hotels near an event or get pricing for 3 hotel options so someone else can decide or help decide. To the user, that task is complete. As we research and map journeys, we must remember that in some cases, the journey includes customer tasks that don't make us money or directly involve us. The last phase of the end-to-end customer journey includes the actions that are part of this task but happen after the user leaves your ecosystem. They might make a final hotel decision or wait for purchase approval. They might search for more rooms and check out competitors. Figure 8. Visualization of the 4 high-level stages of a customer's task: trigger, orbit, ecosystem, and action. Booking the hotel room is not the end of the customer experience or the only journey we must consider. The customer will eventually arrive at your hotel. They're back in your ecosystem with a new set of tasks. They will see your hotel, smell it, and meet the front desk and other staff. They'll have time to find, assess, and experience their room and its amenities. They might eat at your restaurant or drink at your bar. They might have problems during their stay and need to speak with front desk managers, maintenance, housekeeping, and other people they directly interface with. Eventually, their stay at your hotel is over. They form opinions of how the checkout process went. They may tell friends or colleagues about their experience. They might leave an online rating or review, write an email to the company, or answer a survey about their stay. They might positively or negatively generalize their experience at one hotel to the entire brand. These are some of the things that can happen after they leave your ecosystem. Now the end-to-end journey is truly complete. A journey can have multiple tasks and subtasks. Customer-centricity will require us to understand all of them and in what order they're likely to happen. Our ecosystem is omni-channel, omni-device, and omni-touchpoint. If you lose someone in one channel, you probably lost them in all channels. A customer unhappy with your hotel is unlikely to visit the website or use the app again. A customer frustrated with your website might not book your hotel. Every touchpoint is an opportunity for connection or disconnection. A common customer journey mapping mistake is looking at the journey only through the business's eyes. First, I became aware of Company X, said no customer ever. Potential customers start with a need or task that triggers them to research or orbit options. Their journey doesn't begin at awareness and end at advocacy. Maps showing the customer journey from awareness to advocacy are not customer journey maps. They represent an acquisition process or funnel. It might be how we perceive our relationship with the customer, but it's not how they perceive their relationship with us. Very often, even beautiful customer journey maps primarily focus on the time people are in our ecosystem. Maps might start with a Google search or the tiniest sliver of the orbit stage. Make sure you map the full end-to-end journey, including tasks and subtasks, from customers' perspectives as learned through research. Customer-centricity is what customers would choose for themselves. Customer-centricity requires us to focus on target audience's needs and the experiences they would choose for themselves. This is easiest to illustrate with an example of a pop-up interrupting a website visitor's task to ask if they would like to join our mailing list. 0 customers would have chosen a pop-up interrupting their task. Here are some other things 0 customers would choose for themselves. Anything in the terms and conditions that would allow this company to reveal or sell individual users' data. PSE designed to make people feel hooked or addicted. Interrupting the normal use of free or paid PSE to try to push users toward an upgrade or higher-priced tier. And pop-ups and overlays interrupting user tasks for chatbots or support. Objectively considering what customers would choose for themselves is one good litmus test for what is customer-centric and what might be customer-peripheric. But to take this perspective, we must have excellent qualitative research and deeply understand our users and their perspectives, needs, and tasks. We must have granular and detailed insights into the existing customer journey and its sub-journeys and steps. This is our customer intelligence. Try it. What would you choose for yourself? As you experience various PSE from multiple companies, consider which moments or experiences you would not have chosen for yourself, but the company chose for you. Will customer centricity lead us to create PSE our company shouldn't create? Some people claim that customer centricity is bad and wrong for every company. The argument typically sounds something like, customer centricity will lead us to PSE that won't work for our business model, but we'll build the PSE anyway, even if it destroys us, because customer centricity. I've never heard of customer centricity destroying a company, and when I ask people who say this for examples, they don't have any. This appears to be a slippery slope argument that's lacking even cherry-picked examples. It's rare that companies are observing target audiences, asking the right questions, truly listening, and building what people need. It's hard to imagine a situation in which these were executed well, but it still meant failure for the business. It's easier to imagine the situations in which these were executed poorly, or we thought we knew what people wanted, but we were wrong and the wrong solution brought business failure. Opening this discussion on LinkedIn led to only one type of example. The PSE market fit was excellent, but the pricing was off. There was a demand, there was an unmet need in the market. The company researched this well, built something fantastic, and then overcharged for it, leading to low adoption. This would still mean that the PSE market fit wasn't quite right, since you didn't have an audience willing to pay what you wanted or needed to charge. Early strategic decisions around PSE can help us avoid designing, engineering, and releasing something that's not a viable business move. Customer centricity doesn't mean that an enterprise SaaS business should start producing cotton candy if they learn users like cotton candy. Better and deeper understanding of our target customers might reveal an opportunity to take PSE in a new direction, consider new target audiences, or consider a merger or acquisition. But these must be approached strategically, ensuring it's the right move for the business and likely to be successful. Will empathy make us more customer-centric? One of the hottest buzzwords is empathy. You need to have more empathy, create empathy, and use a customer journey map to increase empathy. Empathy originally meant feeling what others feel, or at least genuinely seeing others' worlds through their eyes without your biases, assumptions, prejudices, or perspectives. Most of the time someone mentions empathy, they mean, I'm thinking about our customers, or I care about users. That's not empathy, that's possibly sympathy. We can skip the debate on the meaning of empathy and whether it can be created in a business workshop or from a customer journey map. Empathy isn't enough. Even the sympathy of, it's a shame that customers are struggling with this, isn't enough. Caring or thinking about customers isn't enough. We know it's not enough because having customers in our hearts or minds doesn't guarantee that we truly understood them or took the right actions for them. It doesn't guarantee that we were customer-centric or made real users our focal point. And there's only so much sympathy or empathy we can say anybody had if we didn't get the time, budget, or resources to significantly improve our PSE. As an example, my bank imagined a woman in her 40s has kids, so they sent me back-to-school ads and promotions. When I get ads for PSE for kids, back to school time, and wishes for my very special Mother's Day. I know the segmentation driving these messages, based on age and gender assumptions, is lazy and not personalized. I'm 50 now and purposefully never had children, so these messages and ads are irrelevant, poorly targeted, and annoying. These companies use what I call lazy marketing segments or lazy buckets. They waste money advertising the wrong things to the wrong person. Messages about children and Mother's Day could be upsetting or devastating for anybody who wanted children but ended up childless. How could we show that person back to school ads? It's almost cruel. If we truly understood our customers and had empathy for them, we would never show a message or ad about your children to someone who never had children or tragically lost a child. We're not being honest when we throw the word empathy around. Here are reminders of how hollow empathy is at our workplace. 1. If we saw customers' realities through their eyes, perspectives, and beliefs, and felt what customers feel, or at least cared about what they feel, we wouldn't hand them minimally viable PSE, something we rushed out, or something we already know needs fixes later. 2. When an empathetic leader or stakeholder hears that customers have struggles or pain points, do they immediately allocate teams' budget and time to make sure that customers never face these problems again? 3. If we believed the articles passed around about how much great leaders need to have empathy, we would get rid of our toxic leaders. If your company has empathy as a corporate value, but you have not fired toxic staff, then empathy appears to be unimportant for your company and certainly not a value. Bonus negative points to the companies who promote toxic leaders. 4. Do we have empathy for our staff? Our staff struggle, often work unpaid overtime just to keep from falling behind, and are put under the toxic leader we keep shuffling around the company. To gaslight and guilt-trip people who want to work well-defined hours, 2022 brought us the unacceptable term quiet quitting to describe someone who isn't going above and beyond or working outside of humane hours. Where's the empathy there? I receive at least one message each week from someone asking me how to handle a narcissist or malignant narcissist coworker, manager, stakeholder, or leader. The stories are about people who can never be pleased, have to be right, work to make others look wrong and bad at what they do, steal credit for work, and step on others, thinking this is the path upwards. What is your company doing about these people? They and their obvious behavior aren't secrets. 5. Especially in America, in 2022, more marginalized communities ask if anybody can truly empathize with their lived experiences and realities after a survey or 1-hour research session. These groups are rightfully concerned that we are falling back on stereotypes while calling it empathy. Are you making lazy bucket assumptions that Black women in their 30s do or need the same things? Are you not a Black woman in her 30s, but you say you have empathy for her and see the world through her eyes? 6. Do you know anybody at your company who is racist, sexist, ageist, ableist, or homophobic? Does anybody believe those people will change with some training or a team workshop? Do they say they have empathy? Do we believe them? 7. Have you ever experienced poor PSE and said or thought, this company needs more empathy? End of list. Try it. Walk in my shoes. You've gotten to know me a bit. You read my short bio. You've been hearing my perspective for an hour or two. Can you walk in my shoes? Can you feel what I feel? Ultimately, Customer-centric actions based on deep knowledge of people, contexts, and tasks will be more effective than the too often meaningless use of the word empathy. Having examined empathy, what's an empathy map, and can it help us be more customer-centric? An empathy map typically has 4 quadrants: says, thinks, does, and feels. Some templates combine says and does, which is interesting since in observational research studies, we may find people saying and doing opposite things. Some map templates combine thinks and feels, which might make sense since it's the portion of the map where the most guesses and extrapolations happen. Some templates include extra sections for sees and hears. Figure 9. Common Empathy Map Template. This one is from businessmodelanalyst.com. Empathy maps are problematic. First, you are not guaranteed that they were made with any empathy, nor are you guaranteed that they will create any empathy. Second, what are the sources of our data? What did we observe during research studies versus what are guesses, assumptions, or an attempt at role-playing? For example, if we place, "This is ridiculous, I hate using this," in our quadrant for thinks, how do we know our user thought that? If they said that, we should place it in the says quadrant. How can anyone know what someone else is thinking? This sounds egotistical, arrogant, and overconfident. The same is true for feels. Empathy maps often indicate the user is worried or excited. How do we know that? If the user said that, I would suggest putting a direct quote in the says quadrant. The number of times someone has told me that I looked or sounded worried, angry, upset, hurt, or frustrated when I wasn't feeling any of those reminds me that people are generally bad at guessing what other people feel. We also can't know for sure what anybody sees or hears. Just because something was communicated or offered doesn't mean that someone noticed it, parsed it correctly, or understood it. You might see an empathy map saying that the user sees the discount code on the top of the screen. Yet some studies show that users don't always notice information above a website's logo and main navigation. If we remove thinks, feels, hears, and sees from the empathy map, only says and does are remaining. An empathy map is an artifact researchers could make, though anything outside of documenting what a user said or did is likely to be presumptive. I prefer to share what users say and do with video clip montages centered around specific themes. For example, here are 6 people struggling with our checkout, or here are 7 minutes of some positive and negative experiences with our hotel's front desk staff. Video clips, audio recordings, and direct quotes from potential and current customers are more powerful than an empathy map that might end up filed away and never referenced again. The goal is to bring everybody on the team, or possibly the company, closer to what real customer experiences are from the customer's perspectives, unfiltered and not paraphrased. Therefore, given the potential flaws in empathy maps and how they are unlikely to be actionable, they are not worth creating. Sidebar: Artifacts. Documents that can be created from CX tasks are called artifacts. It sounds like they were unearthed from another era, but it's a common word you will hear. It's used interchangeably with documentation. End of sidebar. Will innovation make us more customer-centric? The definition of innovation is a completely new method, approach, product, or service. Innovation is neither a small improvement to your current PSE nor a variation of what your competitor is doing. This is more likely to be an evolution. True innovation is a revolution. This raises critical questions about our attempts to brainstorm innovations. 1. Did we start with good knowledge, research insights, and data, or did we start with guesses, assumptions, and pre-decided solutions? 2. Are we calculating the actual cost of innovation workshops and exercises? Include staff time for hours or days away from their usual work to participate in these sessions, the cost of professional facilitators, and tools or resources we purchased. 3. Have we kept track of which innovations were created during these workshops? Are we truly innovating in 100% of workshops? 50%? None? Track the percentage of innovation exercises that lead to actual innovations, especially ones that made it to market. 4. What were target customers' reactions to our innovations? Finding that rare gem of true innovation doesn't mean it was a good match for our customers' needs and tasks. Was the project successful? And how did we measure that success? What was the ROI? 5. Are we pressuring teams to innovate when our PSE aren't getting some of the basics right? Think about some interactions and experiences that made you uninstall an app or stop doing business with a company. Was it ever because the company wasn't innovative enough? Unlikely. It was probably because it was difficult to accomplish something you thought should be simple, especially a task you would do frequently. 6. How do we monitor impact, success, and failure? Very often, a release is celebrated, we wipe our brows, and then get to working on something else. We must pay attention to outcomes, consequences, and customer feedback. End of list. The pressure to innovate is self-imposed. Inventing something completely new and patenting it, if possible, is exciting. But if we cannot deliver simple and intuitive solutions for the real problems and pain points that our customers experience, what are we doing? Many companies are semi-obsessed with innovation, but nearly zero of these companies have R&D, research and development, teams, who are typically responsible for most of a company's innovation. Some organizations disbanded their R&D department thinking they were too slow or unnecessary, or anybody can research or design. We want to innovate, but we no longer employ those who usually create most of a company's inventions or giant PSE leaps into the future. For those thinking that the MVP and experimentation replace R&D, we'll cover that later in the book. Many individuals and teams admire, if not idolize, Apple. In 2021, Apple spent nearly $22 billion on R&D, an increase of approximately 17% from 2020's $18.7 billion spend. Weblink, cxcc.to/A119. Apple spends more on one day of research and development than most companies spend in 5 years. Few companies are on Apple's scale, but we can calculate this as a ratio to revenue. Apple's 2021 revenue was $378.4 billion. Nearly 6% of revenue was spent on R&D. Could your company budget 6% of your revenue for R&D and the customer experience? Figure 10. Bar chart from statistic.com showing Apple increasing R&D spending every year from 2017 to 2021. If you do not have an R&D department or team, your new CX department will serve that purpose. If you have an R&D department or team, your CX department should partner and collaborate with R&D. A later chapter will examine building or rebuilding your CX department. People like to quote Apple execs, but then they don't emulate Apple at all. Apple doesn't rush out MVPs. Every time Apple releases something, they tell you it's perfection. This is all you need. It's the pinnacle of hardware or software. It does precisely what you want. Such statements don't accompany MVPs and experiments. These are statements made by a company that is confident in its PSE market fit, having extensively researched and spent time on cycles of design, iteration, and refinement. Sidebar: if you want to be more like Apple, be more like Apple, but make sure it's what Apple really does. A product manager told me that his project didn't need usability testing. The VP 2 levels above him said that Apple doesn't do usability testing, so we don't need to either. I shared my screen, opened LinkedIn Jobs, searched for open UX researcher jobs at Apple, and showed that Apple is looking for the same usability testing skills that the product manager's company looks for in UX researchers. Yes, Apple does usability testing. End of sidebar. Will experimentation make us more customer-centric? Experimentation is an area that is surprisingly customer-peripheral at many companies. As we will learn in the upcoming interview with Craig Sullivan, key mistakes center around prioritization, incorrect methods, lack of research, and burning cycles of work on guesses and random ideas. A culture of experimentation should be a culture of de-risking our PSE through intelligent experimentation. We must also remember that releasing PSE to the public, as a real release or as an experiment, should not be the first time a concept is tested. We have our UCD process to evaluate and improve concepts before a large or small population struggles with them. You've probably witnessed a variety of bizarre experiments that would not have happened if the company had any accountability. Would the possibility of a performance improvement plan, demotion, or having your budget cut inspire decision-makers to choose public-facing experiments more carefully? Without this accountability, teams can fearlessly run in all directions, knowing that, even if it ends up a complete waste later, there are no consequences. Accountability is key to reducing risk, waste, and customer dissatisfaction. I have seen 2 companies in 2 different industries test removing most of the buttons and options from a page to drive people to the one action they wanted people to take. If you want to lift the metric related to more people moving to the next step of the funnel, removing anything they can do other than moving to that next step can work. But is it a good customer experience? Was anybody held accountable for this manipulative experiment? Was there backlash when people couldn't find the other buttons and options they needed or were used to? Some teams love experiments that test whether a deceptive design will achieve our business goals and KPIs. Spoiler alert, these absolutely can work, but you create added risk and might end up in unethical territory. Can we make more people join our email mailing list by automatically putting them on that mailing list without telling them? Yes, you'll grow your email mailing list. But how many people mark you as spam or report you for abuse, complain that you violate regional privacy laws like GDPR, unsubscribe upon receiving your first email, never open your emails or click on any links, or spread negative word of mouth because they didn't like being added to a mailing list? How many of these unpleasant questions or statistics are in marketing's presentations? Or do we only report the number of people we added to the mailing list? Customer centricity requires us to find the balance between marketing wanting to grow the email mailing list and customers not wanting to be forced or surprise opted into an email mailing list.